So my name is Sean Kozak. I'm the managing partner of Neurostreet, the founder, essentially. And the presentation that I've put together here today is private. It's a unique opportunity. There's a reason why it's private. Obviously, we're on the cusp of doing something very large in the industry. Some of you may or may not know the details. Maybe you've heard some hints and little bits of teasers that have been dropped in the trading rooms or in some of the webinars or maybe through some of the forums, and the chatter is starting to get a little bit noisy, but long and behold, we are getting ready to disrupt this industry in both the fintech and the prop funding space. It's been in motion for several years now in the build out. And this presentation is going to give you an overview of the opportunity that we have and to be able to give you the details that are necessary for you to determine if this is something that is of your interest. Okay. Now, Neurostreet is not, I guess you would say, a brand. It is a portfolio of companies. Neurostreet is a household name in the trading space. It is trademarked in every continent, from Europe to Canada to United States, you name it. And Neurostreet is actually the parent company of all of the underlying subsidiaries that basically we run and operate throughout the entire industry, right? And so moving forward, if you have a question as I do this presentation, just type it in the chat box. I will go over it. If I don't get to it right away, please be patient with me. I've got a lot to cover. And if you want to get in more details and want to talk with me one-on-one, I'll be giving you the information here today. So we'll be able to make sure your questions get answered. Okay. So before I go any further, I need to be very clear. This is not a solicitation. I'm not here to sell you securities. I am not here to basically solicit you into anything other than a discussion, right? This is a private webinar. It's a conversation between high net worth individuals. And I need you guys to all know that you are under NDA in order to be here, right? Now, that means no sharing of the webinar links. That means no going into the chat rooms and talking about anything. It is a private discussion for many reasons, right? Big things are normally kept private on the backside, right? Large mergers and acquisitions, large expansions, large big cap raises, these types of things are normally privy to a select few. So can you guys all give me a Y in the chat box that is understood and accepted? I need to make sure that I see everybody that is aware of this. This may be of interest to you. This may not be of interest to you, but that still means that you are understanding of it and bound by, the terms of the presentation and ultimately the NDA that you guys signed to register. Okay. So great. Is there any issues there? I just want to make sure nobody's got a problem with that, right? It's a pretty clear, pretty straightforward. I'm putting that in there just to make sure we're on the same page. So the agenda for today is to explain our current cap raise with regards to our soon-to-be expansion that is about ready to kick off here in the next 30 days. And we are in an expansion phase. We are hiring staff, and I don't mean just one or two people. I mean literally entire departments, from QA to development to marketing to editing to management. We're implementing systems and procedures to be able to prepare a very large, bigger scale expansion plan. And we are putting in place essentially customer acquisition budgets for us to be able to put large marketing spends behind global expansion and essentially global user acquisition. We have spent the better part of the last 6 months building out the B2B expansion for all of our integrations for prop firms, brokers, hedge funds, and vendor partners. And we're going to get into that here in just a moment. And why is this exciting? Well, I mean, we are about ready to unleash the Kraken into the trading space with regards to trading technology for fintech platforms, as well as prop trader funding. And this industry, especially the algorithmic industry, the rise and the rise and up and coming expansion of automated trading and automated strategies, from our data assessments and from our analyst reports that we've basically paid a lot of money for in terms of getting the details for our investors, the algorithmic industry is actually growing at a 68% growth rate, faster than any other sector to date in the industry, which is no surprise. There's big opportunities in quant and algorithmic trading, but there's also huge opportunity in retail as well as proprietary trading firms, right, and funding companies. So this is going to be an overview of what we're going to be talking about. My phone number is here. You can write it down, 819-639-5544. I'll be putting it in the chat box here towards the end of the presentation. And that is my direct email. Please don't share that with a bunch of strangers, right? Feel free to email me at any time, and we can go over details, okay? So essentially, in order to have a big business, in order to do anything of major scale, you have to be able to solve problems. And some businesses solve one problem very well, where others solve many problems. And it really just depends on the business, the market that you're in, the market share that your business is operating in, but more importantly, your product offering. In our space, trading technology is very complicated. I don't know if you've ever been to a platform, or if you've ever seen exchanges or brokerage firms that use technology that are very, very cumbersome. The user experience is very poor. The overwhelm is very heavy. And most technology providers are limited in that they're really designed for one style of trading, right? Some platforms are designed for stock trading. Some are for Forex. Some are for crypto, some are for equities, whatever the case may be. Some of them have no integration for automated trading. Some of them have a little bit of automated trading capabilities, but are limited. You name it. Most people are having to patch solutions together in order to solve everybody's demand and be able to have a solution that can cater to the entire space under one infrastructure. The other aspect is that a lot of platforms, we see this in some of the equities platforms, we see this in some of the algorithmic platforms, they have very limited integrations, meaning they're only integrated into several solutions and they have no roadmap for expansion, right? I mean, a great example would be, if you know anything about the equities space and the options space, the TC2000 scanning platform, amazing platform, but they only connect to one broker, which to the life of me, I don't understand why a business would want to do that. Mainly because that's their niche. But to me, that's very small thinking. And so the other thing too is looking at restrictive code base. Like if you look at all of the trading platforms in the industry and you look at, TradingView or NinjaTrader or TradeStation or MetaTrader, they're all written in one language, right? Which may or may not be friendly for a large developer community. And in trading, it is heavily weighted to developers and programmers and vendors and partners. A lot of platforms and a lot of businesses are only geared towards B2C marketing, where some companies are also only geared towards B2B, right? Not both. And the biggest thing that we've seen in this industry over the last 5 years is the really big interest for open source peer-to-peer sharing environments. You see that heavily taking traction with, a good example would be TradingView's community. They have a huge open source community where you can go in and you can access indicators and strategies and scripts, right? You see that with language learning models, with ChatGPT and the ability for open source integration, right? A lot of companies are 5 years behind that wave, right? They are nowhere near catching up to that infrastructure. And the number one bottleneck, which we see in this space, is data. If you look around the industry and you look at all of the platforms, they're all somewhat greedy by nature because they understand that nobody can trade without data. And so what they do is they either white label solutions and they mark up the data, charging a ton to the end user, or they make it very difficult and they only support certain data vendors. And then you're having to have a very bad experience going all over the place, trying to pick and choose your data. And then you have to pay for different exchanges, and it's a nightmare. But traders are forced to go down that path because they have no choice. They have to trade, right? So the biggest thing that we're seeing too is that a lot of platforms are built with retail infrastructure, meaning they were designed to be built for retail traders. Most institutional technology is built in-house. It is designed for prop firms or funds, and it never gets to the retail, right? So there's a big disconnect between institutional grade technology and retail grade technology. So why do I lead with this? Because what we're about to do is solve every single one of these problems with what we're about to do. It's taken us 2 years to build the infrastructure to accommodate solutions for all of this. And in order to be able to gain major traction very quickly, you need to solve a lot of problems very quickly. So when we say something exciting is about to happen, we mean it. And we're going to be going over that here very shortly. So a little bit of a backstory. We are not new to business. Some people call me a serial entrepreneur. I just like to build successful companies. Started with one. I've built multiple 7-figure brands. We've done millions, over 10 million in revenue. We have a 40% year-over-year growth rate. Our gross margins are anywhere between 60 and 70%. Our lifetime value per client is around $2,600. We've got over 10,000 traders that are using our technology every single day, and we've got over 50,000 active traders in our community. And everything we've done, we've bootstrapped since the beginning. On our own cash flows, ever since the very first event we've ever done, we've reinvested and we've expanded our internal systems and built everything since we started, which is normally backwards to what most people do. Most people will raise money because they have an idea and then they hope their business works, and then half of them fail. And we've taken a different approach. We proved success, we proved systems, we proved traction, we scale it, and we expand it. And so the life cycle of all of our companies, we started in the education space. We then expanded into software development. Then we went into blockchain. Then we did a big Series A and we acquired cutting edge technology last year. Last year, we completed an acquisition where we acquired technology that was built by developers who were quant infrastructure engineers for Blackstone. And so the TickBlaze acquisition was taken place in October of 2023. And we are getting ready to launch that in literally 30 days to the live public. And then right after that, we will be opening up our European prop firms, which will be catering to both futures and Forex based out of Europe. So we can service international demographics and we can expand into both sides of the world for prop funding, legally, ethically, and with the support of lawyers from every single continent in the world. So what we're about to do is basically release the Kraken. And, we do have the support of a lot of very qualified investors. We've got big money behind us with big track records. And, we wouldn't be able to do this, though, without the team we have, right? So if you think about good businesses, you can have a great product, but if you don't have an equally great team, you have nothing, right? Because the business and the product can be one part of the pillar. But if you have a team that is either lacking in certain experience levels or they don't come from the infrastructure that can support that type of business, we have a lot of experience, not only on the C-level team, but we've got about 30 people underneath us. And we just recently expanded the TickBlaze development expansion with over 10 new people. So we are doing some pretty big things with regards to our staffing and our teams. But I assure you, everybody that is on our C-level executive team has experience and is more than equipped to take this to our directive path. Now, we have an open door policy. So at any given time during due diligence, if you want to meet our team or if you want to have a conversation with our C-level, we're more than happy to go over the details, go over our backgrounds, go over our track records, etc. But just know that you've got good people behind the mission. Now, how many of you guys are avid investors? Can you guys just give me a yes in here if you're an angel investor, if you're part of a fund, or if you are basically a family office? Just type a yes in the chat box if you have prior investment experience. I think it's important that I ask that, right? Whether that's a small check, whether that's a big check, right? Some of you are saying yes. Cotty's yes. Jeffrey, yes. Roy, Lee, Steve, yeah. So the reason I asked that question is most investors, from our experience, they don't really want to get behind something small, right? If you're going to do something, you want to come out swinging. You want to make sure it's going to count, right? Like, why get involved in something small and it just stays small, right? So We are getting ready to expand into the North American English-speaking demographics on the initial rollout. And then our plan for V2 is to expand into every single demographic, every single language globally when we do our Series B in the next 24 to 36 months. We'll get into that on the path to an exit at the end of the presentation. But more than what's important now is that this industry is booming, and the need for trading technology and quant technology, algorithmic technology from the platform space is growing at a 68% faster growth rate than any fintech space to date, whether that's trading tech or quant tech. We're going after both, and we eventually will expand to global market share. Our goal is to go after about 1% global market share in the next 5 years. And ultimately, we're talking a $30 billion industry with a total addressable market, right? This is a massive opportunity for us to expand in. There are similar track records and stories, which we'll talk about, some successful exits that took place that are very similar business models and what we're trying to accomplish. We have very similar trajectories, but nonetheless, if you're going to be an investor in something, you want to know that you're going into an industry that is booming. There's a huge growing demand for it, and that there is large scale potential, right? Or else it doesn't really make sense to get involved, right? As an investor myself, I mean, I would like to always be an investor in something that has merit to expand into a very large exit. Now, when we come into the technology, I don't want this to be more of a features discussion. We can go into technology discussions. We can get into the weeds, right? I don't want to take too much of your time today, but what qualifies me to say disruptive tech is that I'm technically one of the third largest software developers in the world on 5 global trading platforms. Some people consider me to be one of the largest app developers in the world for financial tech platforms, right? We've got over 100 applications built into 5 global giants right now, which means we understand the mechanics of every single trading platform in the world. We've been building into them all over, right? And we've been doing it very successfully. That means we know the strengths, we know the weaknesses, we know the code languages, we know the ins and outs of the mechanics, from order management to back testing to automation to server infrastructure, you name it. And we are getting ready to bring disruptive tech to the mainstream market. What does that mean? Last year, we acquired a company called TickBlaze. We didn't really acquire the business, we just acquired the IP. And we've been basically enhancing the IP to make it retail friendly because we bought it from institutional quant developers, meaning it was built for hedge funds, it was built for institutions, it was built to do things that no other retail trading platform can do. And then what we did was we decided to put all of the extra bells and whistles and the fun and the enhanced stuff that all the retail traders want, so that we could literally become a leading juggernaut within the next 2 years, which means we could be in the top 5 platforms in the world with our capabilities in the next couple of years. Meaning, based on user traction, user acceptance, and understanding, when we turn the switch on, we have a technology advantage that no other trading platform has in the business. And that's a pretty bold statement, but we're qualified to say that because we've been building into every one of the backends for the last 10 years. Now, what does hybrid tech mean? Well, we are actually 2 platforms in one. So TickBlaze will be ultimately a discretionary platform as well as an algorithmic platform. The main difference is that we're the only platform in the world that can service portfolio level solutions. So we will, by definition of being the only solution in the world, take the industry by storm by being the world's only algorithmic portfolio quant solution built for developers and traders and firms such as hedge funds and major institutions, which means the retail will get the first glance of institutional tech. Essentially, we're bringing institutional tech into the retail. And it's global assets, so there's no limitations. We can take care of stocks, futures, Forex, and crypto. We have many integration partners already completed. We've already completed all the rhythmic integrations, so we can service all the prop firm integrations, and we can service all of the institutional needs from interactive brokers for all the props and all the hedge funds that are trading through it now, all the way through all the crypto exchanges. We have API integrations where we can service all the cryptocurrency exchanges, which means all of the limitations that we see on crypto exchanges now, we can integrate our tech, which means traders can use our technology to literally integrate into every single account that's possible. Now, the key here for us is the scripting. And I'll talk a little bit about scripting, is that we have built an open source environment. which means we've got about $10 million sitting worth of IP in apps, indicators, algorithms. You know, we've got a large infrastructure that is built on many different platforms. We're literally open sourcing the entire infrastructure to spearhead the launch of our open source community, which means we are going to be the #1 competitor to TradingView's open source community without actually being a direct competitor. And what does that mean? TradingView is a web-based platform built in PineScript, which means the only solutions that can be used on their technology is PineScript. We are a C# and Python platform, which means we literally service the entire other side of the world. Every other platform that builds into C# or all the Python developers, which is a major part of the quant solutions, can build and have an open source solution, which means, yes, you can go in, if you're a developer or if you're a trader, you could go in and install the scripts, the indicators, the algos, the strategies, everything can be open source, peer-to-peer sharing. And we're doing this on purpose because we're building TickBlaze around an open source peer-to-peer environment. As an investor, why is that important? Because that's what made TradingView 150 million logins every single month. Right. And so ultimately, if you look at TradingView, they took 4 years to build the community and the infrastructure, very, very successful rollout. And then what they ended up doing is building the infrastructure around the community for open source, which brought all the traction in. And then what that meant is that when they bring all the traction in, that's when all the brokers wanted to come and start working with them. Right. So it's a stepping stone. The difference for us is that we're not starting from scratch because this is not a new technology. This is not a new platform. Right. So what's going to be nice is that all of our infrastructure for the scripts, we will be bringing in all of our algos, our indicators, our open source community, and we're going to be spearheading that for everybody in the world to be able to open that up. Right. And the other side of this too is that the B2B network in which we can support for this is that we're going to be a frenzy for all of the partners that want to build into the infrastructure to be able to benefit from that traffic, right? So when you have the cookie, meaning if you have the community and you have the social network, and we have a huge infrastructure to spearhead the rollout of that, then what that is going to do is it's going to become an attractive measure for all the brokers and all the prop firms and all the hedge funds that want to integrate into the tech and all the schools and all the influencers, right? Which allows us to be able to service not just B2C solutions, but we can also market and service the technology needs for B2B. Now, we also spent the last 6 months, and I'm going to end with this. You know, a famous story, I'm sure you've heard of Robinhood before. Robinhood, you know, they scaled rapidly, like it was one of the fastest scaling companies that ever hit the market. And the reason they became such a huge successful company, and the reason they became so successful, is that they made it so that you could open up a brokerage account in 5 minutes or less on your phone, right? They solved a huge demand, but that doesn't mean anybody made any money trading on their solution. They just understood the need for the market, which gave them $100 million valuation. So when we sat back at the drawing board and we said, okay, well, where is the big connector here, right? Like it doesn't matter how great of a technology you have. It doesn't matter how anything else you have. Data, you cannot trade without market data. And when we looked around at every single platform in the world, they sell your technology, and then you have to pay for the data feeds, depending on if it's an equities feed or a Forex feed or a stock feed or a crypto feed or a futures feed, whatever. You need to pay for data, which creates huge bottlenecks in user experience, and it drives the costs up for the end user. I wasn't okay with this. I said, I don't want to have just a great product. I want to have a great product that saves traders thousands of dollars a year without giving them a terrible experience. And so I went to one of the largest data vendors in the business, and they support many different partners and platforms in the world. And I pitched them my idea. I said, we're about ready to launch this cutting edge technology. And I said, I want to do something completely different. I said, I want to change the industry. And they said, well, what do you want to do? And I told them, I want to build market data into our product offering and directly be a reseller for the market data by offering our technology through our product. And they said, well, no other platform's ever done that. Right. And I said, well, this is a great time to start doing something new then, isn't it? And so they went back to the drawing board and they came back and they approved it. And then we went through a 6-month due diligence process with every major exchange, from the NYSE to the NASDAQ to the Merck, the Chicago Board of Options Exchange, you name it. We basically had to go through a complete due diligence on the tech, on the business and everything, so that we can literally integrate distributing market data through the product offering, which means we buy the data for the end user and we eat that cost on a B2B partnership, which means all of our users don't have to pay for data. So no retail trader that uses our technology will have to pay for market data. It'll be included in the product offering. And that is for stocks, futures, Forex, and cryptocurrency. So it's a huge opportunity for us to scale user attraction quickly, because we can we'll save traders thousands of dollars a year on data alone before they even consider the cost of our product. And so this was more of a business decision than anything, but we've been excited because this is what a lot of traders have been asking for since the beginning of the industry. And so when you compare us, I built this together here so that you can kind of get an understanding. Technically, we're not competing against brokers, so NinjaTrader would not be considered an actual competitor, because we can actually integrate into NinjaTrader's brokerage firm if they wanted to. But from a technology perspective, we are definitely a competitor from every single platform. Now, Quant Connect is the world's leading quant solution for algorithmic trading, cloud-based solutions for institutions and data. So we do compare ourselves to that because we have leading quant solutions that no other platform has. But from a retail perspective, the three closest that we would look at would be NinjaTrader, MetaTrader, and CTrader. We do have Quant Tower and Addis, but they're very different in some of the things that we do. And from an all-inclusive solution, we can look at our unique selling proposition as just being an all-inclusive, better product offering, right? Now, that doesn't mean I don't have a lot of respect for these companies. We've worked with them. We've built products into them. We've got relationships with many of them. But when you look at comparing the technology, you just need to be open about where you stand in the mix. And this is one of the reasons why this year we are going to literally be the gold sponsor for the Benzinga Tech Awards. So I'll give you more information on that, later. But in November in New York City, we are literally going to be sponsoring the world's largest fintech trading and brokerage conference in New York City. Last year, NinjaTrader was their silver sponsor. This year, we are their gold sponsor, and I'm going to be speaking on the panel with JP Morgan next to Kevin O'Leary, and it's going to be a fun time. So this is kind of the SWOT analysis with regards to the competitors that we go up against. I mean, we can get into more of the details later, but when it comes to the data, because we include market data, we are literally the most affordable solution in the world when you compare us to every single platform in the business from a cost of data perspective. This is not even including their platform costs. So why do I show this is because we don't just have a unique selling proposition when it comes to product offering. We have it when it comes to market data integration, which basically gives us, it's like a Trojan horse that allows us to take over market share instantaneously by cost savings across the users. So the other thing too is that data comes for every asset class. Some of the platforms only support equities, or some of them don't include XYZ, some of them don't have Forex, or, so it depends on what you're looking for. We do it all. And we do every asset class under the sun with both retail and institutional quant solutions. So a couple of the big wins that I like to talk about here, and these are major big wins in terms of global adoption and global expansion. The first one is the open source community. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what that looks like here. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see the Benzinga page right now? Yes or no? I want to know if you guys can see that. Yes? Okay. So we're going to go into the community for a second, and this is what is going to be the backbone to the technology. When you go in and you essentially come in here, we're going to be able to have infrastructure in here. So educational portals, traders are going to be able to come in here and post, share, and be able to communicate through the different portals. Traders will be able to share all of the layouts and the themes of the workspaces and the desktops. And then ultimately, we will be putting the script infrastructure in here. So what this means is that traders, developers, influencers, businesses can upload their scripts. We can upload indicators and algorithms and bar types and you name it. Everything that you can imagine goes into an open source community. And we can do that for both C# and for Python. Okay. Now, when we look at the way that this works, we are essentially an open source peer-to-peer sharing environment for everything from education to strategies to software to videos to live streaming to prop funding to bragging boards, you name it. And everybody gets access to this, even if they're not a member of TickBlaze. Members of TickBlaze can post and collaborate, but everybody in the world can actually be a part of the community to leverage the views and to be able to be a part of the open source environment. So this is a huge win because this will be a major part of the roadmap for user adoption. Plus, I mean, who doesn't want access to $10 million worth of software without having to buy it? I mean, that will basically take storm of the entire industry for all of the forums. There's no need for forums. I mean, many of you have probably heard of Traders Laboratory or even I think Big Mike's or Futures.io years ago. I mean, everybody uploads software into these forums because it's free, but you still got to pay a fee to get into these forums, right? We're going to be open sourcing everything, which will create a developer frenzy, which will become the backbone for C# and Python development. Now, we have partnership infrastructure set up for prop firms because TickBlaze is a more competitive solution than some of the current technology providers in the prop firm space. We have a great relationship with Rhythmic as well as other integrations for prop trading. And we have the infrastructure to support all of the prop funding companies internationally and nationally. And we also can support brokers and hedge funds. So we have a huge roadmap for the hedge fund industry because we have portfolio quant solutions, which means we're the only provider in the world that can service portfolio level infrastructure. Actually, we met with the team that was instrumental in building out the options chains for Tasty Trades, and they were responsible for their $1 billion exit. And they met with me and they were just blown away by what we're about to do in the hedge fund space. They're actually going to be coming on the advisory board and looking at integrating the R&D process for us, integrating options chains into the technology in the near future as well. So we've got a lot of big names looking at us, a lot of big players that are interested in our tech. We even had an offer for an acquisition already, and we turned it down because they wanted to keep it in-house. And it was just, it's exciting. But it's a huge win because we're not just going after the retail market, we're going after the entire industry. We're also working with companies right now that are building language learning models, training AI into our scripting infrastructure. So there's barriers right now. If you go to ChatGPT and you try to get it to code a strategy and you want to use it into TradingView, or if you want to use it into the platforms, you can only get so far, right? ChatGPT and the language learning models, they're only able to get you so far in the code base because AI needs to be trained how to code into your tech stack, right? Well, we've got partners that are lining up right now that want to build into TickBlaze because of the quant solutions. And they're literally AI data scientists, teams of them that are literally building infrastructure so that traders can code directly from AI into the platform, which means traders don't even need developers anymore. They could get AI to build their indicators and to build their automated strategies. And we are training language learning models to be able to create a seamless integration for traders eventually to use AI directly into TickBlaze. 3 major parts of our expansion play. And we don't have to be an AI company to leverage AI's expansion into this. And I don't mean AI like trader consulting AI. Like I know there's a few platforms out there. I think TopStep, God bless them, they have a great product. They have a great company. I think they just released an infrastructure video where they were talking about how they've got an AI bot that essentially helps their traders analyze their trades. We're not talking about analyzing the data. We're actually talking about coding directly into the platform so that traders and developers don't have to have coders. And there's a big difference between analyzing data versus writing scripting languages that are compatible and compilable into the platforms. So this is just a couple things that are huge in terms of the roadmap for us, in terms of like major projects that are taking place right now as we get ready to launch this. And there's many streams of revenue, right? So in business, a lot of times, investors, they want to know, well, where's your money coming from? Pick a path. We've got multiple streams of cash flow coming in from many different angles. We service the retail traders, the hedge funds, the brokers, the prop firms, and then we also have the entire ecosystem, which is education and apps built in every single platform in the world. So Neurostreet owns it all. So the revenue coming in under the main company basically feeds from all different channels, which is one of the reasons why we had so much early investor interest, is because we were not a high risk play for them. We were cash flowing positive, and we had exciting tech, and we have a huge roadmap for expansion. So, but I just like to put that in here because a lot of people have one business model. They have, I sell a subscription. No, we have subscription models for every single lateral, right? For hedge funds, brokers, prop, you name it. And different partners require different pricing models, right? So prop firms, the way that their businesses are running, they take payment up front. So we'll service user-based scaling models with them, whereas brokers, they don't. Brokers don't make money unless their traders are trading live accounts. So whether they're on a sim account or not, brokers are just, the costs are through the roof. So we have strategic pricing models put in place for every type of partner, because our technology can service as an advantage point for every business that they want to build into. Okay. And we're more competitively priced than our competitors, right? Which we need to know that, and we do. So we have a very aggressive run rate for models on revenue. Every year scaling growth with our trajectory. In order to accomplish this, what we will look to do is we will look to run a very large raise in year 2 to year 3. Most big companies, if anybody has ever tracked the success of a few of the big platforms that did big raises, there's one in particular that did $100 million round that allowed them to scale internationally. We'll talk about that in a second. But for us to scale into Mexico, into Asia, into Latin America, into Europe, and every other language, we are going to need to launch in North America and service the English-speaking demographics in Canada, United States, Europe, and anywhere around the world that we can service now with English. And then eventually what will happen is we will accommodate that traction, and then we will go out and we will seek large investment capital from big private equity firms to scale the technology globally, which is normally the next normal case of action for major expansion, right? And that will put us on the mark for a very large exit. Earlier shareholders will get an opportunity to come in and get an exit if they want to leave. And if not, they can stick around for the entire roadmap, right? So a couple things I want to talk a little bit about is the marketing. I think it's very, very important because a lot of companies think that if you build it, I'm sure you've heard of the movie Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner, right? Well, I promise you this, I've learned this early in business, that you can build something, but that means nobody's coming, right? Money's not knocking on your door, right? Nobody wants to come and buy your product, right? You have to show them, you have to tell them, you have to expose them, right? So we have many different marketing strategies in place now, from hack strategies across social media and community marketing. We tailor our marketing to niche marketing because we service many different demographics for equities, Forex, futures, and crypto. And we have a large channel strategy implementation because we work with a lot of partners. So we do a lot of collaborative marketing. We do a lot of partner swaps. We do a lot of joint ventures. We do over 180 webinars a year. We've even gotten emails from some of the bigger companies, and they said, you're sending a lot of emails. I said, great, we're getting ready to turn them up even more. Why? Because that's what big business scaling does. You can't scale down. If you're trying to scale up, you need to scale up. And so we're in a very fortunate position because we have over 50,000 traders in our database that we're getting ready to onboard into TickBlaze and the expansion of all of this when we flip the switch, which means we're not starting from scratch and we are not starting as a new company, which is an immediate path to profits immediately on day one, which means the only burn we've had has been the staffing on the development, which we've already paid for out of our own net cash flows, which means we have not even burned. We haven't burned even after the acquisition, which means we had enough cash flow, positive flow influx from all of the other brands to support the entire infrastructure without even raising capital to do so. So we're in a very powerful place. Very few companies can say that they were ever in that type of a place. And this is an unprecedented opportunity, right? Now, I'm going to end with this before I go into a few details, is that there's 3 companies that I like to talk about that I feel that deserve a little bit of merit here. TradingView currently has a $3 billion valuation. I know the owners personally. We talk on Skype, Dennis Globa, Stan Bokoff, and they started with a team of 4. They own multi-charts. Anything is possible with the right product and the right business model behind it. They recently did a raise for about 290 million on their last round with Tiger Capital, and that brought them internationally into India, into global expansion, which is why they have, right, 150 million logins per month, right? They didn't start there, but they're ending there. Tasty Trades, right? They don't really have a product that, in my opinion, deserves $1 billion exit, but they got the $1 billion exit because of their exposure through social media and through the TV networks. So proper marketing put them on the map as a huge exit. Tradeovate innovated the brokerage side of things, and NinjaTrader acquired them, right? NinjaTrader acquired them because they wanted to expand their web presence into the infrastructure for web infrastructure, essentially. And these are three very recent, very successful exits that took place. We have technology that can disrupt every single one of them. And we have an open source community that will basically be sitting side by side TradingView's infrastructure plans. So I already had meetings with TradingView. Pierce Crosby and I have had discussions about integrating their tech and ours in the future when we want to go to the web, et cetera. We don't know if we're going to do that. We're currently in the mix right now with discussions with a company that actually fuels all the charting for NASA and all of the charting for Formula One. It's TradingView's #1 competitor. We do want to bring everything to the web. We will bring them to the web essentially within the next 2 to 3 years. Everything that we do will be put mobile and expanding globally. But first, we want everything to launch on the desktop the way it is, because we are built to support quant infrastructure on the desktop. And then eventually we will bring everything global on the web, right? So why am I sharing you this? Because, you know, if you invested in any one of these types of companies before they launched, you know, you'd be sitting pretty good right now. Right. And we have a trajectory to do much bigger things than some of these on the slide. And our investors that are already behind us know that. The opportunities for data, I don't mean market data. I mean, as a platform, we also have the power to be able to look at collecting user data and becoming the host, right? When you're the host, right? When you're the host, you can collect user activity data, and that type of infrastructure can be brought back into the institutions, which is a very powerful business model in and of itself, which we haven't even talked about today. So, you know, if you're an investor, I'll leave you with this, right? I can only imagine what it would be like if you invested in TradingView or Tasty Trades or Tradeovate. Those ships have sailed, right? But this is about ready to start, and we're getting ready to launch, and this will be the only time that we will be bringing capital at this share price right now, where you'll be able to get in before the movement happens. So I'll leave you with that, right? We are essentially raising capital. We essentially were going to raise 5.5 million last year. We closed the raise at 3 because we had our own internal capital to support the acquisition. We only had a 12-month window to bring in enough capital for the acquisition. We did that in 6 months. We closed our Series A, and we just stopped raising capital because we wanted to make sure we secured the acquisition before we decided to start expanding the business. And we decided to just open up the tail end of what we didn't finish in the first round, just mainly because we haven't put any of the other management systems in place now that we've been basically doing all the development. And now that all of that is done, we are now ready to flip the switch on the business and the marketing expansion. And we launch literally in less than 60 days, 30. We're aiming for mid-August. So the use of proceeds will be directly scaled towards staffing and marketing mainly, and then the internal prep for us to do the big Series B expansion, which will basically put us on a path to a large exit for everybody. And what does that mean? Well, what we're doing, and this is our roadmap right now, for the next 12 to 24 months, we're launching the platform. We're going to use the initial beta launch as a feedback loop, and we're going to let the community and all of our users help fuel the product roadmap development. A lot of companies build things thinking that their users want them when the industry is telling them, no, we want this instead. So we're going to let a lot of our users help fuel the roadmap for development. Mainly just due to the fact that we'll have an open source community that will have millions of users in there very quickly. And that will allow us to expand to customer acquisition instantaneously. We are integrating all of the ARC and the Neurostreet software into the tech, mainly just because we're going to be open sourcing it into the entire community so that all of the traders can benefit from it. And then our entire focus will be on B2B marketplace expansion and then training the AI into the code bridge so that AI can be a major part of our expansion. In 24 to 36 months, this is where we're literally putting major gas on the fire by scaling all of our operations and ultimately putting in place advertising programs for all of our partner networks. We will be prepping the global language expansion as we look to complete the Series B. What the Series B will do is we're looking anywhere between $30 to $50 million round in the Series B, which will ultimately give an opportunity for us to, offer share buybacks for earlier stage investors. So you may, let's say you're an investor, you came in when we close the Series B, big check writers will want to basically clean up the cap table a bit, which will give an opportunity for anybody that comes in initially to get an early exit, right? For a good return, right? Now, I'm not allowed to legally talk about returns. It's against the law for me to promise an exponential number. I don't have a crystal ball, but I promise you this: that we will not be raising capital at this share price ever again, because once we launch, the valuations drastically change. So this will be the last opportunity that we even open up the discussions for anyone to come in, because after this, we're only going to be working with big private equity firms for big plays. Now, a couple of people have always said, hey, Sean, what's your plan for an IPO? Well, I said, well, it's always on the table for a discussion, but literally the statistics in the industry are less than 8% of all private companies ever do an IPO. Normally need to be backed by a venture firm or a series of family offices. It's normally about a $2 to $3 million run rate. And it's a very costly process. Normally takes about 2 years. Now, there's a lot of companies that choose not to do an IPO, mainly because they don't need to. Massive cash flows, huge business expansion. Why do they need to launch a public company when they're scaling hundreds of millions of revenue, right? We won't need to do that, essentially. And if we do decide to do that, it'll be a decision made later down the road. But, we're on a major target for a huge buyout or a major merger and acquisition once the Series B takes place, right? So that's kind of it, guys. It's an exciting discussion, but like I said, it's private. We're not going to go around and talk about it with everybody. We're not allowed to have discussions with anyone that's not an accredited investor. We're only working with accredited investors just due to the SEC requirements and the legal ramifications around raising capital, right? And the opportunity is now, right? We have a very small window for people to come in before we launch. And we've already brought in, I think, close to $500,000 on this $2 million injection. And I started talking to people last week. We're already 25% committed, and I've only opened this up 5 days ago. So why am I saying this? Is because this is the next big play in the trading space. An opportunity like this will come around maybe every 5 to 10 years, and this is happening now. So if you are interested, which I hope I've done a good enough job to, at least spark the candle, then I will give you my information here, and I'm going to get you to book a one-on-one call with me to have a discussion. Okay. Let me just put that in the chat box here. Did you guys learn something today? How many of you guys see this as exciting? Give me a yes, that this is something of, whoa, didn't expect that. Wasn't understanding what was going on. I know a lot of people normally get that, but it's exciting. Lee says yes. Hopefully I did a good enough job to impress more than just Lee, but either way, hopefully you guys got something out of it. Curtis says exciting, yeah. So just to kind of clarify that we can only work with accredited investors just due to the nature of our raise, right? We're only allowed to work with accredited investors, right? So you have to be accredited in order for us to have the discussion. And there are perks to being a part of this, right? No, mergers and acquisition, not murders and executions. Yeah. M&A. Yeah, M&A. Yeah. Yeah. It gets pretty crazy out there, so I wouldn't hold it to you, Bill, but yeah. And the exciting thing too, and I'll show you this here. We've got some pretty exciting stuff that's about to happen. If you go to tickblaze.com right now, the site's live. It's been live for a while, but you can't buy it. It's join the wait list, right? Like obviously this is the hype and it's super, super exciting. our pricing structure is built right into the platform where we can separate pro versus non-pro annually. But if you want level 1 or level 2, it's baked right into the platform. Right. And we service all of the B2B expansion. So if you wanted to take a look at some of the stuff that we're doing with all of the institutional side, the community is the big one. You won't have access to this on the website right now. But I mean, ultimately, you can go in here and you can see, newest top posts, or even come in here, you're going to be able to see, like, this is going to be an opportunity for traders to share trades, share scripts, share strategies, share software, share live streams. Traders can run their own trading rooms out of here. It's massive, very, very, very big. Right. But I'm excited because we're invited. We're actually going to be the sponsor this year for the Benzinga Tech Awards. They've already given us an award for the technology. We're self-nominating for the other 10 other categories. We're going to be on stage. I'm going to be speaking on the morning of the opening day. You will see TickBlaze on the screen for every single presenter. We are the gold sponsor. So TickBlaze is going to be on everywhere. People are going to be eating napkins with TickBlaze screaming at them. We are coming out swinging. This is the largest tech conference in the United States for fintech platforms and brokerages. And we're using this as our coming out party to basically put our flag in the moon, so to speak, and say, hey, we're here, move over, and we're getting ready to do some big things. That's a huge opportunity because in parallel to that, Benzinga right now is writing articles on SEO to be able to compare us against our top competitors, mapping out all of our strengths and competitive advantages. So we've got a lot of big SEO, marketing, expansion stuff playing around the launch of this. And in a very, very short period of time, we will accept global traction. Yeah, it's inevitable. Just with our infrastructure alone, it's inevitable. Yeah. So aside from that, I didn't want to do a demo today on the tech. I can do that after. I can go into demo and I can go into technologies. We can do a demo on the due diligence. I don't want to take more than an hour of your time. You guys are busy people, and I respect that. However, if you have questions on the tech and you have questions on the quant side and the advantages and all of the extra things that are in our product offering that other technology providers don't have, we can definitely go over all of that in part of the due diligence discussions. But yeah, I will leave it at that for now, and I'm going to bring this back up. I'm going to post this one more time in here. And yeah, I think that's it. Lots to take in. Thanks to everybody for being here. I know there's Andrew, Bill, Brian, Clark, Chrissy, Curtis, Joe, John, Caddy, Lee, Lauren, Mary, Ray, Renee, Rod, Scott. Hey, Scott. Steve, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run something here. Give me 1 second, because I am going to I just need to know if you're going to be booking a call. Okay, because I need to clear my calendar for Saturdays. If you're open Saturdays, give me 1 second here. Bear with me here. So I'm going to launch this. If you could do me a favor and just put yes, or actually, let me repeat that. That was a mistake on my part. It's too many yeses. I'm going to end that poll. That was a mistake. And we're going to create a new one. Bear with me, guys. Now, some of this will be appealing to you, and some of you maybe not. Right? Yeah, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to post this poll. If you could do me a favor, please, and just let me know if you are going to book a meeting with me so I have an understanding. I'll follow up with you in case the link doesn't get sent for whatever reason. I just want to make sure that, yeah, and let me go in here. Bear with me, guys. Before you guys book, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my calendar and I'm going to open up Saturday so that you guys can book on Saturday if you would like. Bear with me here. So I got a bunch of you guys. Yeah. So booked for Monday, Curtis. Great. So I'm going to go into my calendar and make sure. Bear with me here. I am going to. Yeah, I just opened it up. So give it a second, guys, before you book. And Steve, great question. So TradeStation locks up with high volume. Is this something? Well, here's what's unique about what we're doing, and I'll explain how this fits into latency and it fits into everything else we're doing. Bear with me. I just want to save this. Schedules, holidays, availability. Okay. So what we've done with TickBlaze is we've ultimately, you should be able to book on Saturday night, guys. So if any of you guys want to have a conversation on the weekend, I'm around. Being a founder, we don't normally know what the word weekend means, right? But that being said, um, latency is basically how the platform's infrastructure is coded. TradeStation, depending on the volume integrations, it really just depends on how the platform is built and designed, right? And the API is how traders code into it, but the infrastructure, we have multiple UIs. So we have the ability to have floating user interface as well as docked user interface. Different UIs create different threading, which basically creates different stability issues for whatever platforms you're using, right? Because we have multiple UI functions, what that means is that, let's say if you're running high stress systems, you could use the floating workspaces, which require way less processing than the docked workspaces, which make the platform 10 times faster, right? If you're trading on a laptop or a tablet, you don't need all that. You could use the docked workspaces, which basically doesn't require any of that extra infrastructure, right? So we support both. So the answer to your question is yes, we recognize stability and latency in TickBlaze. Absolutely. Mainly just due to the fact that it was built by institutional quants. So it was built to do the things that retail platforms can't do. Right. So I've got, a fairly large amount of you guys are going to be booking a meeting. Can you guys just do me a favor? Even if you're not booking a meeting, just type a yes or a no so I know not to follow up with you. I'm going to, I just want to make sure we take you off any communication channels. I don't want to bother you, right? You're respectful of your time. Yeah. So if you are booking a meeting with me, do me a favor and please put yes, and then book it now because I promise you it will close quickly. And we want to have a conversation, right? We need to have that conversation right away, get you the details, etc. Now there is a minimum check size. We can only take fairly decent sized checks just due to the size of the round. However, I just want to make sure that you know that that is not a requirement based off my preference. It is an SEC requirement because we only have so many spots on the cap table until we reach a different filing category, and we're going to keep ourselves under a certain filing category to make sure, because once we cross a certain amount of shareholders, then we start getting into the path to an IPO and it becomes a nightmare. So, our minimum tickets are set not based off what we want, but based off of what we need to with regards to SEC requirements. So just know that this, it's not about picking favorites. There's a reason for it. Okay. So I've already got several of you guys booked. Is there any questions? Type them in the Lauren. Yep. Perfect. So I see people changing. That's great. Anybody got questions? We'll go over minimum tickets and we'll go over risk tolerance and due diligence and share price and company valuations and all that on the meeting, right? So ultimately, we'll take care of you on that. So we'll go into those details. Yeah. Curtis, great. Got you booked in for Monday. Great. Thanks for your guys' time today. Yeah, no problem, Lauren. Yeah, no problem. Well, the minimum investment depends on how many people come in on the round. So it's not a matter of number, it's a matter of the amount of people that are expressing an interest to come in, because we only have 14 seats left on the cap table and we have to reserve some of those for the Series B with big funds. So we literally only have a few spots left, less than 10. So depending on how much, one investor could come in and put the lion's share of the round where that would change the minimum ticket to the other investors. So I can't give an exact number until I speak with everybody. So I just please understand that it's not about picking favorites. It literally has to do with the amount of cap table seats we have left, because we did close the Series A last year to acquire TickBlaze, which took up a fairly decent amount of shareholder seats on the board. Yeah. And we do have advisors. We do have advisory partners, both on the prop side and on the platform side and all that stuff. So book the meeting with me, Rob, and we can go over details to the best of our ability on the call. Yeah. Makes sense? Appreciate your understanding on that. It really just depends on the collective sum of everyone I speak to. Yeah. But time is of the essence because we are launching in August. And so we're looking to close very quickly. And so, you need to be liquid and you need to be accredited, right? And rightfully so. We don't want to be working with anyone that's not in a position to do so with comfort, right? And if you have experience in fintech, or if you have experience in trading tech or quant tech or AI or prop firms, etc., that's great. We prefer working with investors and having people in our inner circle that have that. Yeah, yeah. It's we call that strategic capital. Yeah. Don't let it bother you, Roy. Just book the meeting. We'll have a conversation. Yeah. There's no exact timeline, but we're looking to be aggressive on the close, but nonetheless, we can work around timelines. So just book the meeting. We'll go into the details. Yeah, it's better that way. And at the very least, you get a chance to speak with me for 30 minutes and shoot the shit. I think Lee, you just sent me an email. Is that you, Lee H? The big Lee H? Yeah. Hey, got your email, brother. Hey, thanks. I just want to. I'm going to say this now on the mic. Lee, one of the investors in here, and one of the people in the audience is he's an avid developer. He's also a vendor partner of ours in the business, and he sent us over great talent. Lee, I want to thank you for your support on that. You sent us over Jonathan. Jonathan's been an absolute gem in QA, and that's just great to be connected with great partners in business. Yeah, my hat goes off to you for sending me that. Appreciate it. He's been great. Yeah, we'll take Gary on the partner infrastructure. We're gonna scale you to the moon with the community. Yeah. Well, traders, I think it's time. I'm gonna go do a little cardio, maybe hop in a cold plunge, and then get back at it. I got to go deal with legal contracts. I guess SEC lawyers require that. So I want to thank you guys for your time. Hopefully, I've perked your interest, and yeah. Thank you guys for joining me on today's presentation. We're going to send you out an email with a video link. Please, I know that I said this already, but I need to remind you that you are under NDA. So sharing any of this information is a complete violation of that. So be very careful with how you do this. If you have a question on sharing it, or if you have someone that you might want to bring into the discussions, they'll need to sign the NDA as well. So, contact me first. And before going out and talking with anyone else. Yeah, it's better. It's best we do that so that you stay compliant. Yeah, just due to the nature of what we're doing and the round, and it's an SEC regulated environment, and we're very, very by the book, right? A breath of fresh air, right? Especially in the platform and the prop space, right? We're very by the book. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.